Welcome in to episode 12 of season 1. So this is our season finale. Super excited to have been able to do 12 of these episodes with 11 great guests that we've had on the show so far, and some just awesome viewership for the first season. Just super blessed with all of the feedback and great support that we've had here at Common Ground Podcast. So those of you that are listening and supporting in any way, I thank you so much for all of that support and continued support. It's just been such a blessing. But we've got a great episode for you today. This episode is sponsored by the Eternal Resurgence. If you remember, the Eternal comic series sponsored us early on in season 1. They were doing a resurgence of issue 1, so a little bit of a rewrite there. So check them out. The Eternal Resurgence on Facebook. You can also get copies of the original Eternal comic at E-Town Comics. They still have some of those available, so check them out today. And then we are also sponsored by Ridgetop Roofing. Ridgetop Roofing is based here in Kentucky, Western Kentucky and Western Virginia. Their company is dedicated to providing top-notch roofing services that combine quality, innovative materials and integrity. They can do anything from simple repairs to a full-on roofing system. They are insurance professionals and do the best job possible. They use the best equipment available. They do not do just shingle replacement, but they do a full-on roofing system. So check them out today on Facebook, Ridgetop Roofing. They also have a website coming soon. I'll post their phone number and all the information to get in touch with them. But with that being said, thank you again to all of our sponsors, and let's get into episode 12. All right. Well, Brother White, It's awesome to get you on here. This is Brother White, Jeff White, State Overseer for Kentucky COGOP, Church of God of Prophecy, for those that don't know. Man, I'm really excited to get to talk to you today.
What an honor to be asked. We're hanging out here in your basement and getting to talk about the Lord and about my life, which I tell you, it's been amazing to see where God has brought me from to where I am. So thanks for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. And there's really nothing better to talk about than what he's done for us, what he does for us, what he continues to do. So
yeah. Constantly blessing us,
right,
giving us opportunities. It is amazing.
Right. Opportunities on opportunities, which I'm super thankful for. This has been a great opportunity for me. So let's jump right in. Tell me a little bit about you.
Well, you mean about me personally?
Personally, family?
Yeah, well, so I'm 60 years old. I know that's hard to believe.
It is hard to believe. I wouldn't have believed it if you hadn't told me.
I know, but you thought at least 65, but no, I'll be 61 this year. Been married to Sherry Lynette Nix for 35 years. Okay. And just we have one daughter. She is a high school English teacher in Greenville, South Carolina. She's not married. She's not opposed to it, just hadn't found the right one yet.
Right.
And she just bought her first home. So we're really excited about that. So that's all from South Carolina. We came here to Kentucky in 21. Okay. And now we have a new family here and just love it around here. So
yeah, I came to Kentucky in 2015. Mm-hmm. And wasn't expecting to stay here. Was expecting to be here for a couple of years, but God had different plans.
Yeah.
And I'm with you. I love it. I love being here. I love this area too. E-Town's awesome. Mm-hmm. So I love it. So that's cool. We have some stuff in common there. Tell me your testimony, your salvation story. I've heard some of it. I've heard you share it in different places, but speak on that for a minute.
Well, there's levels to it, and I will go shallow in it. But so I was not raised in a Christian home. I did not have a spiritual heritage. Okay. I didn't have. I grew up without a father. My mother tried to raise 3 children the best she could. Right. I didn't know until I was 10 years old, I guess it was, that I had a brother and sister even before the 3 of us, that my mom had almost like another life. So there's so many things about that is just a God story about how God has got me where he has got me to today. But I was I was kind of floundering around in my teens, no direction, but I loved sports. So I played baseball and joined a church softball team when I was 15 years old. I had to go to church twice a week to be able to play, and the coach was strict. He says, if you can come to games and come to practice, then you can come to church. And so during that, I came face to face with my life that was just going nowhere. And I knelt down at my seat and prayed. I think I'd done that type of thing before, but this elderly gentleman tapped me on the shoulder and said, son, don't you think you need to go down to the altar? I said, no, I think I can get what I need right here, And he said, well, what about your friend? And it was my cousin who I idolized. And so I went down to pray for him, but really when I got down there, I was praying for me. And it totally transformed me that night that it happened. Yeah. And so from that, I stayed in church and just continued to be developed and had good people in my life and just continued to follow him. And each open door, the Lord, he just gave me the faith to walk through it. And somehow I'm here. I don't know how I got to this point, but yeah, it's just, it's been 45 years ago.
All because of a softball team.
All because of a softball team. Yeah. That's right.
To think he can use anything, right?
He can use anything. But cool. We won the state championship.
Hey, that's double blessing. Man.
That is.
Double blessing.
That was a big deal.
Yeah.
And but the cool thing was our church really supported that team. They'd come out and watch the games and stuff. And so it was not only the actual playing, but it was the fellowship of it. It was the accountability. It was the church that came out to encourage us. So it made an impact on my life. Yeah. It really did.
That's cool. Mm-hmm. You said something else when you said that I want to touch on. You talked about different people coming into your life after that point.
Yeah.
And me and Pastor Sean touched on this a little bit too. I think we have that salvation moment. We have that happen. But it absolutely takes people coming in to help, equip, disciple. And, you want to share on that for a minute?
Yeah, especially for someone who has no father.
Yeah.
Someone who has no, I said it earlier, spiritual heritage, no background. My cousin took me in. He's 10 years older than me. So he took me in when I was like 16 years old. He and his wife, he was like 26 and she was 26, 27. And they took me in and they raised me. And they made me accountable and they taught me to tithe. They taught me to be at church on time. Yeah. They taught me if I'm supposed to be home at 11:01 is late.
That's right. Yeah.
And they taught, I got a crash course in accountability and responsibility. And the cool thing is, they were at our state convention 2 years ago, and they will be at this one, which is July 25th, 26th.
That's right.
If I might add.
That's right.
And it's going to be amazing.
It's gonna be
it's going to be great. But yeah, he's still in my life. And so for him, then I had another pastor that I had a pastor I served under as a youth pastor. And he was like a father to me. So God's put those fathers in my life.
Right.
He has. He has put fathers in my life.
And I think we want to do the same for other people because that's what we're called to do.
Mm-hmm.
But it's also when people do it for us, we see, man, I want to freely we receive, freely we give. I want to do that for other people as well. So that's really cool.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah. Well, the thing about that is, we're always looking for fathers in our life.
Yeah.
And then if we're faithful, one day we'll wake up and see that we're the father.
Yeah.
It's like other people are looking to us for guidance, wisdom, strength, support. So yeah, that was a weird thing when I was like, everybody's coming to me. Why are people coming to me now?
Yeah.
When I was always looking for that father, So.
Yeah, it's that maturing and that process.
It is.
Eventually we become the disciple.
We do. It's a natural progression that takes place and very natural thing, you know.
That's the way it's supposed to work. He laid it out the way it's supposed to work.
The way it's supposed to work.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. So you also, you know, when I've heard you play a few times, you dabble in music. You've written a few songs, different things. You want to talk about that?
Well, I mean, music is my escape. I mean, I love music and love playing in church and love. And you used a word earlier that I don't think is a bad word. Perform. Because we perform to God. That's our audience.
Sure.
But yeah, I've done some stuff over the years, theater, and played in different shows and stuff like that. And it was all just really good experiences for me, and a great witnessing opportunities as well. So I think that music has been a door that the Lord's opened up. Yeah. So when is this going to air, you think?
This will air not... So what's the date? I can't remember the date, but it's not this Friday, but it's the next Friday.
Okay. Well, I think that Saturday I'm actually playing for the Elizabethtown Choir Society concert at the Presbyterian Church. There's a free concert for...
That's pretty exciting.
Yeah, I was contacted. Carol, I think, got in contact with me and said, we need a bass player because ours dropped out. Okay. So they asked me, and so I've been rehearsing. And this amazing choir, I've heard them. They are amazing singers. They're all auditioned. They have to audition to be a part of this choir. And so I'm going to be playing bass, and I'm making friends and meeting people. And again, open doors that the Lord provides. But I love music, and writing is not... I have to sit down and say, okay, I'm going to write. I'm going to write a song because my focus is in other areas, you know, and a lot of inspiration goes towards messages. Right. So I have to kind of divert that over to music. But I love music. I love music.
Cool. That's cool. Yeah. And that Presbyterian Church, that's here in E-Town. Right?
It is.
Okay.
It is.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I'll try to boost that.
It is. That'd be cool, wouldn't it? If we had like 25 people show up to this community concert, you know,
that'd be great
to see the bass player play.
That's right. We're here for the bass player. I'll get a shirt. We're here for the bass player.
Oh yeah, that's good.
That's cool. So I want to go back to your salvation story just for a minute, your testimony. So when I think about my story, my salvation story, and those things, and there was a moment where he came into my life, he called me, I responded. But obviously at that moment we don't have it all figured out.
Right.
I don't have everything lined up. So when you're walking that out after that point, is there a moment you can speak to where like kingdom life or where it just clicked, where you were like, oh man, look at what he's doing, where it just kind of something you can speak to, it just opened it up for you a little more?
I think it was when, and this may feed into another one of your questions, but I think it's really when I felt the call to follow him as a lifestyle, instead of just a church, go which I'm not going to minimize church. It's a family of God. It's where we need to be. But there came a time, and it was at youth camp. There came a time where I sensed the Lord saying, I want you to dedicate your entire life to me and serve me and serve others. You know, so to me, that was a call into ministry, which really, I think that was the turning point to where it was like, this is for real, and this is what I'm going to do the rest of my life, you know, and that's what I've been doing.
Right.
But I remember I was praying in the altar is at youth camp, and everybody, it was just going wild. You know how those services are, where the Lord's just blessing, and you're just, you're like in another world. And I found myself outside underneath a tree. Now, where was security back then?
Yeah.
You know,
who's on security?
Yeah, that was back in 1981, I guess it was. So you know, that was back before we live in such a different world these days. But I was outside underneath that tree, sensing God's call to ministry in my life, and all I remember saying is, yes, Lord, yes, I will do it.
Yeah,
I will do it. So my plans of being an engineer and all those things, and going to Clemson and to be an engineer and all that. Those got put on hold. I eventually did get to go to Clemson, but it was not for engineering. It was more for some other things that I've used in ministry. So, but yeah, that was it. That's the thing I remember.
You said something there. You said, and I love this word. You said lifestyle. I think that in our walk with Christ, we form godly habits, and we form habits of doing things that Scripture teaches us to do. That Christ, being more like Christ. But I don't think they can stay habits. I think if we are walking this out, they shouldn't stay habits. They should become lifestyle. And that's what I thought was interesting that you said there, because that's really what I think it's about. It's about my DNA. My DNA should be trying to be more and more like Christ every day.
It is, and I can tell you that it wasn't only that drawing and integrity that I felt like I needed to have with the Lord. It was also just the people that I knew, the people that I had looked up to, the people that had mentored me. There was something about me that, number one, said, I want to be like them.
Yeah.
I mean, I want to be like Jesus.
Sure.
And I want to be like them. And I don't want to disappoint them.
Yeah.
I don't want to disappoint the Lord. I don't want to disappoint these people in my life. And it made a tremendous difference in my life as far as a lifestyle, because I had some patterns, had some, Jesus is a pattern.
Right.
But, Jesus worked through these other people to be the example I needed.
Yeah, and that's what we're called to do. We should be our patterns should replicate his patterns so other people can see that and it just flows down.
Yeah, follow me as I follow Christ. I mean, I think we lose that. We're so individualistic in this in this world where it's about how we feel, what we. Yeah. But it's really, there's more to it. There's a lot more to it. There's a responsibility to others and responsibility to help others. So.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. So, ministry, life in ministry. That's been what you're doing. Did you? Maybe this isn't what you pictured. When did that happen? Did you picture this lifestyle, or what does that look like?
I can't say I pictured it. There was a point in my life where I felt like this could be a possibility, to serve in this role. Because you look around and you say, who's going to serve in that role? Who do we have that is qualified and caring and loving to serve in that role? And because I had some good examples. Again, Brother Fisher was, he appointed me to my first church, and he served here in Kentucky. He came from Kentucky to South Carolina and made a tremendous impact on me and so many others. But there came a point in time where, it was a little bit scary, and I was like, and I hope nobody gets upset about this, but it's like, oh Lord, don't call me, to that, because there's a lot of responsibility, but when the Lord did call us, when Brother Coulter asked us to serve in this role, it was, me and my wife both felt like it was the Lord. And I told him that that's not something that I don't aspire for this. He says, well, if you did, you probably wouldn't be being asked.
Right.
Because it's not like I'm going to climb the ladder to get to where I'm the state overseer. That's just not appropriate.
Yeah.
We don't climb the ladder in ministry. There's no ladder climbing. There's kneeling and humbling yourself and going as low as you can, as as low as He wants you. That's where you need to be. It's not climbing.
Right.
Now, certainly we have goals and aspirations to do good in everything we do and to be given more responsibility. I think that's a great thing for people that are trying to serve in ministry, is they want to prove themselves responsible enough that they would be given more responsibility.
Yeah.
You know, be faithful over a few things. I'll make you ruler over many things. That's what the master told the stewards. He told them, he says, well done, my good and faithful servant. You have been faithful over a few things. I will make you rulers over many things. So the more faithful we are, we don't get out of stuff. We get into more stuff, you know. So we find ourselves with a lot of responsibility, and hopefully we do that in such a way that other people are inspired by it.
Right. I think about, I had a pastor tell me one time that the ministry that he wants you to be, if you think you're called to be a men's pastor or a young adult pastor, whatever it is, well, don't wait for somebody to give you that title. Just start doing those things. And I think about Pastor Fred, who is now he's not in Kentucky anymore. He will be next month though. He, started this program, Every Man a Warrior, with us, and was leading a bunch of guys through this program just as a member. He wasn't the men's pastor or anything like that, but he was serving in that type of capacity, and then eventually he joins a men's team because he's already walking that out. And it wasn't about taking that role or getting a role. It was about doing what he felt like the Lord called him to do, because right where he has us is where we should be serving him, right there. And sometimes, like you mentioned, that's scary and that's hard. But to me, true servanthood is when I step out of my comfort zone. And when I step out of my comfort zone, I'm stepping into his comfort zone. And he gives me that comfort.
It's a good word.
So
that's a good word.
And I think that's important to recognize, because sometimes he does tell me to do something and I'm like, whoa, no, that's not me. You meant to say that to somebody else. But when I'm obedient and follow what he's saying, usually I'm blessed. Always I'm blessed. I feel his comfort.
Yeah, this role here is what my goal for my service in this, for whatever length of time the Lord would have me serve in this role is it's a tremendous platform to do good. Because it's not that you raise yourself up, but certain positions are very visible. That's fair to say, right? So, but the visibility, you have a tremendous opportunity to do good and it be magnified. Right. Everything I do is magnified. Right? Because so many people are looking and observing and watching. So my prayer is that as it's magnified, the impact would be magnified.
Right.
And so if I'm hanging out with the group of teenagers over at Bethesda, or they come over to our house, which they came over to the parsonage and hung out, and we had, did some teaching and had dinner and all, and I can go up to those guys and high five them or hang out with them, and hopefully they have a positive view of what a state bishop is, if that makes sense.
No, it does.
So you have, in this role, you have an opportunity to even recast what a position is, and mold it into something different. And that's hopefully a very relational perception, Right.
It's whatever role we're in, just being the best vessel we can be, and doing the, living like he would have us to live the best we can.
That's right. That's
good.
right.
That's good. So what did the path look like? What were you doing before? I'm guessing you were a pastor somewhere, but what did that path look like to get to where you're at now?
Yeah, so I'll go back. I'll just go real quickly back. I started pastoring when I was 25.
Okay.
As I said, Fred Fisher appointed us, me and my wife. So we went there. We pastored like 4.5 years at a very difficult church where they had a lot of turnover. So it was a pretty good, solid tenure there, and saw the Lord do a lot of good things. And then I served as a youth pastor, associate pastor, after that senior pastor, and then I went into state work in South Carolina. I served as the executive director of leadership development, and so I served there for 6 years. And so that's when I got the call to come to Kentucky. So it was, but that job, the cool thing about that job was very much like what I'm doing now.
Yeah.
It was traveling around, visiting churches, helping people. And so I just didn't have the full responsibility because I was working under the state bishop. So when we came here, a lot of this was familiar, but the responsibility of it was much greater than what I had experienced.
Yeah.
So
well, we're blessed to have you in Kentucky.
Well, it's a humbling thing, and to get to hang out with people, and to feel like that they can be themselves around me and know that I'm gonna be myself around them, but I enjoy the relational part of it. Sure.
That's what I was going to say. That's what I see even from the first time we interacted. Was you're very relational, and I think that's what we should be in any type of role we're at as believers, is relational, because that's what he was. That's what Christ was. So,
yeah. Well, the thing about that is, which you've been through some of the training about how we're wired,
right?
So. I believe relationships are the key. I believe relationships are the necessary element in ministry. Fortunately for some of us, I'm wired for relationships.
Yeah.
So it's very natural for me.
Right.
I have some pastor friends they're more introverted, and they're wired a little differently, and so they still put forth the effort. But it's not harder. It's harder. So I thank the Lord that he's wired me like he has, and part of it was we moved around a lot when I was a kid. We moved around a lot. Sure. I went to a lot of different schools, moved to a lot of different neighborhoods and communities, and so I'd make friends, and then we're moving now, okay, and so we moved to the next place. Well, got to make new friends. Got to sink or swim, and that was part of God's plan to wire me like I am,
Yeah.
But that's it's all about relationships for sure.
Absolutely. Yeah, he puts us through those things as we grow to prepare us, I think, for what we have to know, what the plan he has for us, which as we know is better than any plan we could come up with, right?
Yeah.
So in ministry, this is a 2-part question, so be prepared.
Okay.
What's your favorite part of ministry? What part do you enjoy the most?
Oh, it's that relational element. It's that hanging out today. Well, this is something this is good for anybody to know. Is in my office there at the campground, we have a state office there, and if my door is open, then anyone can walk in at any time.
It's good to know.
And whatever I'm doing, I'll just drop what I'm doing. And we'll sit down and take whatever time to talk or pray or just fellowship or whatever it is. If that door is open, that's my policy. So if that door is closed, that means that at that moment, I have to be focused on something else. So my door was open today. All day it was open, and got a lot of work done. But we had a pastor from another state that was coming through. And he came in and asked if I was available, and Carol brought him on back, and we sat down and talked. He and another fellow, sat down and talked for 25 minutes, and it was just an amazing part of my day, But then I couldn't do that all day because then there were other things like mail outs and correspondence and phone calls and all that, which is the part of the second part of the question. It's the thing.
I can feel that coming.
It's the thing that is part of this job that is not. It's not the most gratifying, but it's very necessary.
Yeah,
very necessary. So, that and other things. But I can say this, that we're developing a good team there at the state office. We have a good team there, people that are helping. Just like when I left today, I handed something else off, and they're handling that while we're talking.
That's good.
So that I could do this.
That's good.
And we have district team leaders or district overseers, a great group of guys that are very instrumental in helping manage issues and problems and helping with the ministry. So yeah, it's the administrative part I can do it, and I think the Lord's given me some strength to do it, but it's nothing like hanging out with Anthony today. Right. Getting to talk about the Lord in life. So
when I ask people this question, usually the first 4 or 5 questions I can pretty much answer what they're going to say to this question, and I would have pegged the relational side as definitely your favorite. And I think you covered the second part of the question, which is your least favorite or the hardest part for you. So we'll keep going here. Let me see, what did I have next? And yeah, that's it. So we talked about the favorite part. We talked about the least favorite part. What do you think is a vital part of ministry that not just you, but any of us can do that we need to do better as believers? One of the vital things we need to do.
Take responsibility.
Okay.
I think that if everyone would take responsibility, first of all, for themselves, and say, I'm responsible to God, and I'm also responsible to others. I'm responsible to my pastor. I'm responsible to my local church. I'm responsible more than just coming, more than just showing up. I'm responsible to be a integral part of what's going on and pitch in and help. And sadly, and I'm one of the most positive people you're ever going to meet, but when I see the church as a whole, I see a lot of people that don't take advantage of opportunities to really get involved. They come, they're faithful in coming, they're faithful in giving. But what would truly happen if every part of the body was functioning?
Oh, brother.
Man, it would be powerful. So part of that is taking responsibility, saying I'm responsible not just myself, but also to get involved, to help, not wait on somebody else to do it, but let's all get in here and work together.
That's why I think equipping and discipleship is so important, because I think you're absolutely right, and there's so many people that don't recognize that there is even something they can be doing. But if we start equipping people, discipling people, what the word actually says, go and make disciples, go and do, don't just be hearers, but doers, then more people would be going, wait a minute, just showing up isn't enough. He's calling me to do more. A lot of that we can do outside of the church as well, just being vessels in the marketplace and being a light, but he's calling us to do the work of the kingdom within the walls that we're serving in, within the local body as well. I think that's so true. That's super important.
And the thing about it, a great example of this is if you've ever went down to the altar and prayed with someone and helped them pray through an issue or a problem, or to give their life to Christ, or to receive the baptism, or to give up some addiction they have. If you've ever had the blessing or opportunity to do that, it's something that you want to do more of. You want to get down there. You want to be a part of that. The joy that you get out of seeing somebody else get what they need is just so gratifying. And see, that's why when I'm not being critical of folks, I'm just saying that they don't really know what they're missing. But once they get involved, once they're a part of a team, once they're a part of the church doing something significant and they were a part of it, it's just better than sitting there watching everybody else, in the stands. I love playing in the game. I don't want to just watch. I want to play in the game.
That's right. That's so good. That's so true. And we all have a role to play. Scripture tells us we've all been given different gifts, so we all have a different role to play and a different thing to do, and it's important that we do it. That we get out there and do it. So that's good. That's such I hadn't thought about that side of it. That's so true, that we take responsibility for what He's given us and be the vessels. I've been stuck on that word vessel lately, but being the vessel that He's calling us to be. That's good. So as we kind of gear towards the end of this episode and kind of wrap things up, I like to talk about my theme. The topic of the show is Common Ground Podcast, and my goal with that is to find common ground with other believers and people through Scripture, through relationship, and those things. And I feel like God gave me that title, and it's from this verse that I'll read for us so we can discuss it. 1 Corinthians 9:22 says, and this is the NLT version, when I am with those who are weak, I share their weakness, for I want to bring the weak to Christ. Yes, I try to find common ground with everyone, doing everything I can to save some. So how do you think we can, better walk that out, better embody that scripture, do what that says?
I think our whole conversation today is part of that theme, because the context of that scripture is that there are, he lists different groups, and they had different, they were different levels spiritually because of their background, because of some of the stuff that was taboo to them, And so he's basically saying, look, I'm gonna, if I need to be weak, if I need to not let my liberty, show my liberty, because this doesn't bother me, this eating meat that was offered to idols, didn't bother him, but yet there are some that were weak in that instance because they couldn't do that with a good conscience,
Right.
So he was willing to sacrifice his own self, his own liberty. He was able to sacrifice to the point where he was willing to get down to the level of somebody else. And I really believe that that's important, that we understand that when people get offended, it's weakness.
Yeah.
Right? So we don't want to offend people in their weakness. So what he said he would do is he'd get to their level and not do certain things, or do certain things so that it will help them.
Yeah.
Now, I do want to point this out. Sometimes we are so spiritual that we say, that offended me, that offended me, that offended me. You did this, you wore this, I say to anyone who comes across that way and tries to legislate somebody else's lifestyle, I say to them, weakness is offense. If you're offended by something, it's really from a weakness standpoint. That's what he's talking about. So he didn't want to offend people, and I certainly don't want to offend people, but it's those that are weak in the faith, weak in the Lord.
Right. It's
not the people that have these standards that they're trying to get you or me to live by. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Perfect sense.
So I say that to say this: there are people that need us to get down to their level, and that doesn't mean do the things they do or sin or anything like that. It means be willing to humble ourselves, sacrifice, do whatever's necessary, try to win them to the Lord, and that means a lot of things to a lot of different people. But the Holy Spirit can give us some guidance on that, some discernment on that, if we listen, So,
and we need to be adaptable, because I have to think about, at one point I was lost, and somebody was willing to say to me, when I came to this church here at Bethesda, I was lost. I was prodigal at best, and I was open arms, brother, just welcomed with open arms. And can I do that same for those that I come in contact with? Because they were no different than me. They're just lost.
That's right.
Their sin may be different. They may be doing different things than I was doing.
Yeah.
But they're simply just lost.
That's right.
And we're to help them find direction.
That's right.
It's not about stooping to their level or changing my beliefs or doing what they do. It's just about helping them find direction.
if I'm not willing to do that, there's a problem.
Mm-hmm. And we got to be careful with our posture because without realizing it, we can come across as very arrogant to those that are lost when we don't treat them or don't speak to them like just human beings, but we have this very righteous aura that is untouchable, and I think that's one of the reasons the Lord allowed me to grow up like I did, because I was exposed to a lot of different folks, living in different communities and a lot of different folks, but yet I can just be real with them and be kind and nice, but yet at the point where the Lord opens doors for me to build that relationship and then speak into their life, that's I have to get with them and get that common ground. I think common ground is necessary before you can try to tell somebody how to live.
Absolutely.
So
Absolutely.
But we're so impatient now. We're so impatient.
We want to jump right into, I can change you. I can fix you when I can't.
No, I can't.
I can help you. I can help you find direction. I can help lead you to the Lord, those things. But, I'm called to catch the fish, not clean the fish.
That's right.
That's His role.
That's exactly right.
I don't have to, thank God I don't have to do that part.
Right.
He's much better at it than I would be even if I tried. But I think that's so good. That's so true. And I appreciate, it's good to hear. I think I've asked this question now 11 times, 12 times today, but I think it's so cool to hear different perspectives on that verse and different perspectives on how we can walk that out. It blesses me. Hopefully it blesses the people listening as well. And the last thing I want to bring up before I close, because I almost forgot. And I didn't put it in the notes. I kind of did, but not really. We have something in common that we've talked about before, and I bet you have no idea what I'm going to say.
No, at all. What is
I'm Brother Brown, and you're Brother White.
That's right.
We got those last names going.
And we got Brother Green.
I knew you'd bring him up.
And we have Brother Brown that lives over. He's not a pastor, but he lives there. We got Brother Black. I got a friend, Brother Black.
That's right.
So yeah.
That's some common ground.
We
found it. It took to the end of the episode, but we found
That's
it.
right. That's right. There's room for all of us.
That's right. Well, brother, once again, thank you so much. I appreciate you coming on. This has been awesome.
Well, thank you for having me, and I just pray God's blessing on every one of your episodes, because that's what we need. We need common ground, and that's at the foot of the cross for sure.
Absolutely. Amen. Amen. Thank you, brother.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
All right, man, that was awesome. That was an awesome conversation with Bishop White. I hope you guys enjoyed that. I hope you were blessed by that. I hope you just really enjoyed getting to listen to that. And if you did, I encourage you, share this episode with someone else. Share it with someone that maybe hasn't heard it. Post it to your own Facebook page. Subscribe to the channel. All of those things are super beneficial and helpful to the podcast. So we absolutely encourage you. Follow us on Facebook. Subscribe on YouTube. Follow us on Instagram. That is your best way to get all of the information on Common Ground Podcast. So check us out today. And keep up to date with all of those things that you can do. And, we're going to take a break after this episode for about 4 weeks just to revamp, get ready for season 2, get some guests lined up, get some episodes prepped and ready to go. We'll still be posting a lot of shorts on YouTube and things like that, so look out for those. But before we wrap up here today, I want to once again thank my sponsors. Thank you, the Eternal Resurgence that we talked about at the beginning of the episode. Thank you guys for once again sponsoring us. That's a comic written by a local writer here in E-Town, Brian Fraze. You can pick up current issues of that at E-Town Comics. And with a new resurged episode, issue 1, coming out soon. So be ready for that. I'll post all the information about that as it comes out. And then we'd like to once again thank Ridgetop Roofing for sponsoring us, giving us the year-long commitment. Ridgetop Roofing provides commercial and residential roofing. They're based here in Western Kentucky as well as Western Virginia, and they're dedicated to providing top-notch roofing services that combine quality, innovative materials along with integrity. They can do anything from simple repairs to a full-on roofing system. They're insurance professionals and do the best job possible. Check them out on Facebook today, Ridgetop Roofing. They have a website coming soon, and I'll post their phone number and everything on the episode as well. So once again, before we wrap up Season 1, thank you guys for listening. Thank you for continuing to tune in, and God bless.